Hey, welcome to another podcast with NECKROOTS. I'm Kit James.
Austin Davis.
Hey guys, we got a very, very exciting topic for you today. It's do your best and forget the rest.
I love it, Kit.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I think there's something really important that needs to be said about this, because in every one of our podcasts, we essentially give a challenge, right, to NECKNATION, right? NECKNATION, you're always getting challenges from us on improving some aspect of your life. Right. And we've done, I don't know how many episodes so far we've done. It'll be like 20 episodes so far. So 20 things that you can do to improve your lives. And that is extremely overwhelming if you think about it all at once.
Yeah.
So I just want to reiterate the message, the underlying message to all of this, to everything that we say, every one of these podcasts, is to do a little better tomorrow than you did today. Right. And if that's just in one of these aspects that we're talking about, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. If it's in a couple of them, awesome, right? But just do your best, right? That's what we're talking about today.
Yeah. You know what? That wraps up all of them. Sometimes when you're trying to make any daily improvements or any improvements, I don't care if it's mentally, physically, or whatever, when you look at the big scope of things and you getting this information and you get too much, that's why we keep our podcast so short. It's like, let's give as much as we can. And then, we could go on and on and on for 3 hours about good stuff, but the problem is I forget. If it's me, I forget after the first few things. I'm still processing the first few good things. It's like, dude, you can give me more all you want. It's just, it's there.
Same way. Yep, same way.
You know what I mean? So I think it's important, not to get overwhelmed. And the cool thing about these is you can go back and listen to them. When I was doing self-help stuff, I'd go through it. I'd write stuff down. I'd start making changes. I'd start making a difference and start doing whatever I could. And then I got to the point where it doesn't matter if I wrote 56 pages of notes and actions that I needed to take. I never got to them.
Yeah.
Right? Because it does. It takes channeled focus on the few. And the cool thing is you change one aspect of some of the things that we've talked about, you change a lot more, right? And
it's so true.
Don't get overwhelmed. Go at your own pace and just be dedicated. And that's what's cool about this podcast is I think our life mantra should be do your best and forget the rest, because there's so much going on. You can't pick them all up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to put your hands under water that's running and hold it?
Yeah, it's not going to work.
Yeah, it just keeps running, right?
Keep going.
So go with the flow is what we're saying, right?
Yeah. Yep. Capture what you can. Do your best. When it comes to the podcast, don't forget the podcast, but just do your best. But
that is your best when you're listening and doing. But
that's right.
You know what? If you can't pick them all up, man, just forget about it, because they'll slow you down.
There you go.
And I think that's really what we're kind of talking about today.
Yeah.
You can only do so much, right? We push ourselves to do 100% better and this and that. Forget about it. Take one thing, right? Focus on it and do your best at it. And so this podcast is really, there's so many different things that we can do our best on, right? And we've talked a lot about a lot of them, but this is just doing that 1 or 2%, right? Picking whatever it is you're challenged with, right? Whatever it is you're working on. Everyone's different. Everyone's unique. They're in a different place, and someone's challenges today, someone else's, promised land tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's just different. So we're all in a different place. You take those 1 or 2 things that you want to make a dramatic change and take action on, and just start doing your best, right? Reducing it to writing and just doing 1% better. 1% better. The power of compounding is unbelievable. It makes a big difference when you repeat it every day.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you wake up a year from now and you're a different person.
Absolutely.
And that's how it works.
Yeah. Change will happen that fast.
Absolutely. So, as we're talking about do your best and forget the rest, there's a story that comes to mind that really hit home for me. And it's not really a story. It's just a bunch of scientists at this institute, they did a
Max Planck, right?
Yeah, it was the Max Planck Institute. They did this study, right? Scientific study. They keep hearing this theory, and we've all heard the theory. When you're lost, people say you walk in circles, right?
Yeah. Right.
And so I thought about that. I'm like, yeah, I've heard that. When you're lost, you walk in circles. Well, I spent a few years on search and rescue, and we had these GPSs, and whoever called them in lost, we'd get their last known coordinates, right? And yeah, they pretty much go in circles, bro.
Holy cow! So it's not just some theory. It's
No,
legit.
and so, but I'm not a scientist, right?
Yeah, right.
So I read when we're reading this Max Planck Institute scientific study. What they did is they took a bunch of participants out to a very heavily dense wooded area, and they said that the instructions are very simple. All you got to do is walk a straight line, as straight as you have to, like straight as you can.
Sure.
And then we're going to evaluate it. And so they were all rigged up with GPSs, etc. And so here they are, no landmarks. They don't know where they're at. They're just in a heavily dense thing. But all they have to do is walk straight.
Yeah. How hard could it be?
Right? I mean, you're going to obviously go around a few obstacles like trees or whatever.
Yeah.
And so here's your starting point, and there was a bunch of them. And so they did. They said, all right, set off and go, right? So a lot of them, you know, when they got done with it, after they got done with their test, a lot of them were like, freak, I don't know. I don't know if I walked a straight line. It sure felt like it. But there was a handful of them that were 100% confident. I mean, they were flexing on the scientists going, dude, we walked a straight line. 100%. I know I did.
Yeah.
I know what straight is. So riddle me that. You know, they're kind of, you know.
Being cocky about it.
Cocky about it, patting themselves on the back. And so as they explained how they did, they said, fact is, I mean, how do you think you would do? Right?
Yeah, I have no idea.
I don't either. Right? And I don't know if I'd walk a straight line or not. And so, and the fact is, when they said, here's your results, to the guys that were very, very confident that they walked a straight line, the results were they actually had a pretty tight loop going on, 20 meters. I mean,
holy cow.
The other guys weren't
that bad.
Yeah, they weren't as bad as these guys that were confident they walked in a straight line. So as they talked about this and said, what is it that makes when you're wandering or lost or whatever, trying to walk a straight line or trying to get to a specific destination, what is it that makes you walk in circles? And obviously it's lack of, you know, landmarks. They don't know where they're at, whatever. But they had crazy theories like, one guy said one leg's longer than the other one, so we walked in circles.
Yeah.
And then they said, well, the terrain deviated, and you know, slight deviations in the terrain where it was uphill, downhill, or whatever, uneven, and a few obstacles. That was the reason that we couldn't walk in a straight line. And the truth is, Austin, when you get right down to it and boil down the hypothesis of this, the truth is this. Without constant recorrection, number one, without a plan of starting point and ending point, and the other thing is having the time to assess and reset and redirect and redo, right, and reflect, and having landmarks or goals or milestones or certain kind of boxes to check, if you will, throughout our day, right? That's what we're going to relate to, and throughout our life, but because they didn't have that directional map or that directional plan or goal or desired outcome, they walked in circles. So, and that's the real reason why. Yeah. I think it's powerful. I think it's really a good indication that it's important as we walk out the front door to say, hey, what's my plan today? And if you're just going out and going to work and you think you got it figured out, no, you don't. Right?
You
just
don't.
Throw something, you know, throw a checklist. Take the time and say, hey, reflect, learn something, take action on something. Have those milestones and those checklists and landmarks, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. You reminded me of something because you said redirection.
Yeah.
Right? And it makes me think of this analogy. Do you remember back when you first started driving, Kit?
Oh, yeah. When I was 3.
When you were 3. When I was 7, right? When you first start driving, you notice if you take your hands off the wheel of the steering wheel, the car, more often than not, I mean, some cars got pretty good alignment, but most cars, they'll tend to veer one way or the other. Most of the time it's right? They veer off to the right. And this whole idea of redirect makes me think of this when you're first learning how to drive and you're going through your driver's ed, and they say, you know, what you choose to focus on, where you're looking, is where you're going to end up going. So if you're driving down the freeway and you're looking over at the barricades, well, you're going to start drifting toward the barricades. Or
100%.
if you're going down the freeway and you're looking at the person in the lane to the left of you or to the right of you, you're going to start drifting towards those cars, right? I mean, you go where you look. In fact, this is a huge principle when it comes to going fast on a motorcycle,
Yeah.
what you're looking at is where you're going. So you're always trying to pick lines, right? When you're racing dirt bikes, we're picking the best line, the cleanest line, right? The line that doesn't have the big rocks in it. Sometimes the line has to have a rock in it or whatever, but where you go or where you look is where you go.
Yeah.
And I think the same principle applies to us in our lives, Kit, because we're talking about, walking around in circles when we're lost.
Yeah.
I think at some point in time, Neck Nation, all of us have been lost. And we're probably going to get lost again in the future, right? We're going to have periods of time in our lives where we're lost. And if we don't have the redirection, and the redirection has to come from ourselves, it has to come from self-awareness and realization.
Yeah.
If we don't redirect ourselves, we're gonna veer off path, or we're gonna just continue to walk around in circles, and we're gonna get stuck in this lost state. So these are great analogies, Kid. I absolutely love these.
Yeah, and you know what? No matter what, even if your car's perfect, it's brand new, and the alignment's perfect on it, the crown in the road, just that slight.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? It is going to pull it a little bit.
It will.
And what's interesting about that analogy, and also the one that they did at the Max Planck Institute, they have a lot in common, and that is it does just the smallest deviations will set us off course for our day. Right?
Yeah.
Someone comes in and you think you're jamming, you're rocking and rolling, and you're having a great day, and they're like, "Yo, did you remember to do this, Austin, or whatever?" And you're like,
Oh yeah.
And they're like, "I need that in 5 minutes." Well, when one thing changes, everything changes, right?
Yep.
And now you got to process that, and what's the first thing you do? It's the W word.
The worry. Yeah. The worry sets in, dude.
And when you're worrying, man, you're not scurrying, right? You're kind of in neutral.
Yeah, no.
And so I look at these things that like it doesn't take much when you're ripping down the track, dude. A slight deviation makes a big impact. Right?
It does.
For better or for worse. Yep. So let's look at it on the flip side. What's our recorrection? What's our redirection, our realignment, or our recalibration? Number one, I think that's why we're talking about this is let's be aware.
Yep.
Let's have a plan when we walk out the front door, even if it's mental, right? It's a napkin. It's like, hey, I learned this today and I'm proud of it. I took action on this today and I'm proud of it. I'm grateful for this today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just something simple.
Something easy, something you write down.
Yeah, because when these small things come in and they do knock you off course, you don't even think about it. You're off course. But what's powerful is if a small, a small thing or a small deviation through the train or your day or whatever can throw you off course, that means a small thing can get you back on course. So these small and simple steps that we can take to redirect our day, which redirects our life, are very, very, very powerful, and they're great habits to form.
Yeah, you know what, Kit? What you said just awakened me big time. We're talking about worry here, and the second part of the title of this podcast is forget the rest, right?
Yeah.
Do your best, forget the rest. I think worry is a perfect thing to forget because, like you said, if you're spending all your time worrying, you're not solving or fixing anything.
Right.
Right? And worry is one of the biggest thieves to your time and to your peace, right?
Yep.
So, and you know what? I should know, right? I do not have, I worry about everything, Kit. I worry all the time. And now I'm realizing, man, what a waste of time it is to worry. And we worry about everything. I mean, you worry about everything in the dictionary. It's not just one thing. You worry about what you said. You worry about what other people might have said to you. You worry about things that you did or things that you didn't do, or you worry that your wife's going to be mad that you got a new truck, or worry that your wife's going to be mad that you went and bought new hunting equipment, or whatever it is that you went and bought, right? There's all these things that we worry about. Yeah. Thousands and thousands of things that we worry about, and it doesn't solve any problems to worry about it. It creates stress. Yep. It robs you of your peace. Yep. And it's not worth your time. So you know what? Drop the worry. Yeah. Forget about it. There's not one problem solved in the midst of worry, right? I love that. Yeah, there is not. Not one. Means you're a politician, by the way. That's a good one. But I mean, it's true. And worry is a broad horizon. It's not, when you think of the word worry, you just think that's just a worry. That means I'm stressing about this or I'm zoning out about that. No, it encompasses everybody's day. It does. It creeps up, dude. It's the creeper. We might as well call it the creeper. No kidding. And it does. It creeps in, and even when you're like, crap, dude,
should I wash my truck? Because is it going to rain?
Yeah.
You're not really worried, but
No.
it's just those distractions. Distractions are exactly that. When you're motoring down the road, when you're on the track, when you're trying to walk a straight line for some scientist, when you're doing whatever these things are you're doing, right? And you're focused and trying to be straight, there's distractions everywhere. Some of them are out of our control. When you're driving, right, you're talking about the alignment and da-da-da-da-da and staying in your lane, right?
Right.
And paying attention and not being distracted. Well, the reality is there's distracted people out there that, guess what? They don't stay in their lane.
No.
Now 100% you're distracted, and it wasn't your distraction.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Right?
you got to move out of your lane so somebody doesn't move into you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the reality
Especially in Utah, brother.
oh, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a buddy here from California, and he's like, freak, dude, you guys, you got one speed, man. And I'm like, yeah, it's skinny pedal down, right?
That's right, dude.
So I'm like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
You can't go fast in California because there's too much traffic.
Yeah.
But anyways, but there's so many different distractions, some in our control and the ones that are out of our control. So going back to what we can control, our distractions, our worry, those things that, worry's never solved any problem at all, right? The
Right.
only thing, I mean, it doesn't mean you have to go about your whole day being a problem solver every 60 seconds. I mean, you'd be a rock star if you did, but the reality is just don't let it derail or take you off course.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's
Yeah.
so much going on. There's so many things. There's so much noise. So if we can just be aware of ourselves, and I love the words, right? We talk about realignment, redirect, repurpose, reflect, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to reflect, we have to realign, we have to redo, we have to reset, all these things,
Yeah.
right? And the root word means to return to the original state. So when you think of how many words that we just said today that start with
Yeah.
return to original
Tons.
state. Our original state is, we have no fears, dude. When I was a baby, I wasn't afraid of nothing,
Yeah.
right? That's our original state.
That's the original state.
So when you talk about reflecting, that means shutting down, right? When you're resetting, you're shutting down. When you're refreshing, you're shutting down, right?
Yep.
And we're getting realigned back to our original state, back to our original goal, back to what we wanted to accomplish today, back to who we wanted to become today.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's so powerful when you think about that.
Yeah. Let's
Right?
engage in realignment, NECKNATION.
Yeah.
Let's make sure we're constantly realigning ourselves.
Let's return to our original state.
Return.
And you know what? The power of compounding, man, when you just add that as a layer onto the and we redo, and it's okay to redo.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if we can just do this every day, right? Just do it one day at a time. But if we can consistently do that, like a batting average is best we can every day, and some days we're going to be derailed,
Yeah.
right? And we're going to have to realign. But the reality is our life, our scope of our weeks, months, years in our life will be a lot better,
Yeah.
right? And that's all it is, consistency.
Yeah.
Breaking that big thing down into small, bite-sized,
Achievable dues.
Yeah, because those small and simple redirects, man, they're just as powerful as the ones that'll take you off course.
Yeah. The small and simple things will take you off,
Yeah.
and the small and simple things will bring you back.
Yeah. So there's another thing I was thinking about. Everybody loves old Wayne Gretzky,
Oh, how
He's
can you
for
not?
real.
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
And I know everybody's heard this quote, but it's worth repeating. And that's when he was being interviewed. They said, "How is it that every time you're always where the puck is?" And he says, well, "I don't skate to where the puck was or where it's at. I skate to where the puck is going."
Yeah.
It's so profound and it's so crazy. And so I told you I like to study those things and look into it. It's like, how do you skate to where the puck's going? You don't know.
Yeah.
Right. So I looked it up and went through it a long time ago. And his father sat him down at a young age and he said, "All right, Wayne, it's called 20 minutes. He goes, "I'm going to give you 20 minutes of hockey night." It's
Nice.
And the hockey games are a lot longer than that. But
Yeah.
he knew that young Wayne wasn't going to, this is what we're talking about today. He wasn't going to sit there for hours and draw where the puck was going. But he would give him a sketch on a piece of paper from goal to goal, right? And from the center line and say, "Okay, with this color, I want you to mark where the puck is at the most and the direction of the puck and where it ends up and where it goes."
Sure.
And so he had 3 different colors. And the reality is the 3 colors merged into one dark color because the puck was at certain locations the most, right?
Sure.
And he'd say, "Okay, son, you see where these darkest lines are? That's where the puck is the most. So if you know where it's at the most during this time, right? Do you know where it's going? You can see where it's going now after that.
Yeah.
And it was like repetitive, right? And so he did this for years and years and years. And so when Wayne said that, he's not just making up a cool quote that's going to get printed for all of us to see and read and think about. That's something that he put into practice at a very young age, and good for his father about, telling him to go to where the puck is. So he had a focus. So he knew when he was out there skating and ripping and running that, hey, puck's here now. So after all these years of drawing it on a piece of paper, I know where it's going to be.
Where it's going to be.
You got a pretty good chance. And so he skates to where the puck is.
Yeah.
So that's focus, right?
That is. And we've got these patterns in our life, Kit. Our life is a pattern, right?
Yeah.
Just like a hockey game is a pattern, right?
Absolutely.
We've got ups and downs. And when you have a down, you've had downs before.
Oh, yeah.
You know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
You know what you need to do to skate ahead of it, right? And get ahead of the down. Or, if you're coming out of something or if you're dealing with problems, it's not the first problem you've ever dealt with in your life.
Right.
Right? You've had the experience. You can get ahead of it.
Yep. And anytime we've had those downs or those hurts or those pains or those worries or those concerns and obstacles and challenges in our life, we know that the longer we spend doing the poor me, or the longer we spend going why me, or worrying or doing something that's not productive, right, a non-productive emotion or whatever, we know where it goes. We've seen the end of the movie.
Yeah, we have.
Right. And so the sooner we can just be aware and reset, to redo, to reflect,
redirect,
and to refresh, guess what, sooner or later, man, we get that pattern down, we're going to be rejoicing.
No kidding.
And we're going to be rewarded.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's so powerful.
Yeah.
So that's really all we're talking about, is be aware. When you're doing Debbie Downer and poor me, come on, we all do it. It's cool.
Yeah.
But let's not spend too much time there.
No, get out of there as quick as you can.
Right? We don't want to take up residency there.
No, not at all.
Anyway, so when we talk about this, we're talking about, we talk about Wayne Gretzky, right?
Yeah.
That's every game, right? That's just a game. And when you're talking about driving, example driving, that's from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Right. That could be a morning drive. That could be an afternoon drive. That could be a long haul drive that takes all day.
Yeah.
And we talk about this theory and what the scientists did. That was just an afternoon. So what we're really talking about right now is just one day at a time.
Yeah.
Right?
For real. Yeah.
All we got to do is be aware and stay on course the best we can, one day at a time, and not how many times, there's a loved one of mine and someone can just say something wrong, look wrong or whatever, and bro, it'll affect everything, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, why? And it's sad, really, right? To give that energy and that power away. So we're not just talking about worry. We're not talking about challenges and obstacles. We're talking about the ones we create for ourselves too, right? There's so many different lanes in our day. We got to pick our lane, pick our race lane, and stay in it for that day, right? And if we find out tomorrow that didn't work, change lanes.
Change it up, man.
Right? But
do a little bit better tomorrow than you did today. That's what it's about.
But when someone says, how many times in this world, people are real tough on social media, right? They'll say real.
Oh, they get brutal.
Oh, bro, their elbows up, throwing jabs like they're a professional until you say, meet me at the flagpole. Then it's like.
Then they're quiet.
And then they're like, oh, that's an anonymous person.
Yeah.
But my point is, some things that people say will derail you. Some people don't even have to say anything, but you might be thinking, what are they thinking?
Yeah.
That'll derail you.
Yep.
There are so many different degrees of distraction, worry, and derailment that'll take us off course. So we're just saying whatever yours is, whatever your Achilles heel is or your challenge is, you know what it is. You know you.
Yeah.
Right? Pick it and work on it until you feel like you've got that one mastered or you have power over it.
Yeah.
And then do it again.
Yeah, it makes me think, I do this thing, Kit, where I tell myself these stories, right? And these stories are, I convince myself, sometimes I convince myself that they're the reality and that this is how things are really going to play out. And then I'll base my decisions off of that. And it usually just leads to a bunch of worry. Like we're talking about, get rid of your worry, forget the worry, right? But I think we all do this. We all tell ourselves these stories, these little things, right? Where they're, what are they thinking about me? Well, I'm going to make up in my head what I think they're thinking about me, and then that's going to dictate how I act or how I respond to something, right? That's a bad deal, man. We just need to base it off the facts, right? We got to get these little nagging things, these things that we put on our heads, and these little nagging things, we got to get them out of here. Get them off our backs, man.
If we knew how powerful our brains were, we would be careful about what stories we tell ourselves, because what you think about, you bring about, right?
Oh, big time, yeah.
Even if it doesn't come to materialistic reality, you know what it does? Mentally, it comes to materialistic reality, and you're going to feel those emotions and those worries, even if it doesn't come to fruition.
Yeah.
So it's like, why go through the academic, intellectual practice of it if you're not going to get to the thing, right? If it's not going to evolve.
Not come out. Yeah,
come and so... about. And I do some life coaching, and it's like when people say what you just said, I worry about this or that, or I tell myself a story, or what is this person thinking? The number one thing you can do, and I'm saying this for a reason, and that is ask yourself these questions. You can ask a question. Okay, and what did this person say? Well, they didn't say anything, but it's the way they looked at me. Well, how did they look at you?
Yeah.
Right? Well, what would your husband say? What would your spouse say? Has your spouse ever said that before? Well, no. Well, then you're putting words in their mouth, right?
Yeah.
So you can bring yourself around when you're aware. You can bring yourself around to, oh, dude, I just dissected that. Yeah. Why am I worried, right?
Yeah, no reason.
And if that's what we got to do, that's what we got to do. But whatever it is, it's the title of this podcast, Forget the Rest.
Yeah.
Because you honestly don't have time when you're focused on becoming a better person tomorrow than we are today. You don't have time to worry about the rest.
No.
The rest can show up tomorrow. I just got to focus and do what I'm doing today, right?
Yeah,
do my best.
Yeah, the time is there for you to fix the issues and to live, right? It's not for you to sit there and worry about it.
You're exactly right. So, I mean, I know it seems really like we're majoring in minor things, but we're not. These minor things are the ones that take us off course, and these minor things are the ones that get us on course. And you know what happens? It ends up being the major things, one minor thing at a time.
Yeah.
Right? And so start small, aim tall, because we'll get there. It's a big deal.
There you go.
Right? So there's a story about me and my son Caden always go fishing, right? And there's a story about, we see eagles all the time on this particular river that we go on, eagles and ravens. And there's a story about an eagle, and there's one bird that dares get after the eagle, climb on his back and bite his neck and peck at him like some of the people we know.
Oh, yeah.
Will just peck at you, or whatever, right? It's the raven. The raven is that bullish that he'll get on the back of the eagle and just bite his neck and peck at him, because the eagle's, is majestic. You know, he's got a wingspan. He can fly. He's powerful. He's graceful. And I don't know what it is about the raven, but he's just that guy.
They're annoying, man.
Right? So the interesting thing about the raven and the eagle, when the raven's on the back of an eagle, biting at his neck and pecking at him, believe it or not, eagle don't do nothing. Matter of fact, doesn't even give him any attention or energy. He just keeps his eagle eye on the prey, on the ground, on the field, and he just circles, lets the wind lift him, does his thing, slowly getting higher and higher, right?
Yeah.
He'll dive and check something out or whatever. And here's this raven, right? And we've seen it before. It's the craziest thing. Here's this raven just biting at him and pecking at him. And it looks like something else, right?
Yeah.
If you're not paying attention,
yeah, right?
You might have to have the birds and bees story. But here's this raven just pecking at him. And I think, how many things in our life are pecking at us all the time?
Yeah.
Right? And so if you can just picture this eagle, not even bothered with the raven. He's like,
no big deal.
Gives it no energy.
Yeah.
Gives it no thought, and it gives it no attention. Well, what happens is the eagle will soar higher and higher and higher because he's focused. He knows what he's got to do, right?
Yeah.
And he knows who he is. And so he just keeps soaring higher and higher. And pretty soon the eagle gets so high that the raven is not conditioned to breathe and at that high of an altitude. So he doesn't get enough oxygen. So what he ends up doing is having a challenging time breathing, and he'll fall off.
He's falling off.
Right? So there's such a great analogy to that. Here's the eagle, and he doesn't give the raven any attention. How many ravens do we have in our day?
Hundreds, man.
Right?
There's hundreds of ravens in our day.
Just pecking at us and biting at us and driving us nuts.
Some of the ravens we create.
Yeah,
right?
and
That's what we're
sometimes the
talking
raven is our shadow.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think the message is, if we're going to soar and we're going to soar high and we're going to be that majestic eagle, we're going to be focused on what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
And doing the best that we can do. I mean, you'd like to turn around and knock him right in the mouth, but let's not give it no energy. Let's save the energy for the hunt. Let's save the energy for the day. Save the energy for the good things, your family, your friends, the ones you love. Save it for yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Make that for yourself. Take that peace, take that time, take that love and that energy and redirect it, right? And remember and reflect so we can rejoice and get the reward at the end of the day for staying on course and staying focused. And focus really stands for follow one course until successful. That's what it stands for. And so we just have to really focus, to become a better person tomorrow than we are today. Take time, reduce it to writing, and stay on course, right? We're worth it. Everyone that you love around you is worth it. And we can shine a light in a dark place if we continue to do that.
I love that, Kit. I love that. So let's all be like the eagle, right? Neck Nation. Let's not let the little things bother us, and let's not put little things in our lives, right? Let's not contribute to that. Let's get rid of our worry. Dump it. Do our best and forget the rest, right? Forget it.
Yeah.
So, well, if you like the content, you like the video today, be sure to like and subscribe.
Hey,
video.
Don't do your best. Just freaking subscribe.
Subscribing is your best. So subscribe, and liking is your best. So like and subscribe to the video on YouTube. We're also on other platforms for the podcast. If you don't want to watch it on YouTube, you can check it out in other places. We're also on the social media, right? Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Check us out there. And then if you like the gear we're wearing, the hats, the shirts, I said this last time, but check out neckroots.com and check out the cool neck gear. If it's your thing, get yourself something, right?
Get necked out.
Get necked out. But we'll leave you with that message, and bless up, Neck Nation.
Bless up. Thanks for being with us.